Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So it is just about the middle of the year, and right around summertime is when a lot of authors start making announcements for releases that are coming out later in the year. Every single January I do one of my favorite videos, which is my most anticipated books of the year list. That has been up since January. I have one every single year, and it pretty much is very like January through September heavy, but I don't get a lot of October releases on there. And I was going through a bunch of my sources, like Instagram and blogs, to find new releases that are coming out for the later half of the year, and lo and behold, we have a ton of new releases from some of my favorite horror authors and authors I'm really excited to read more from. I just want to share those with you. So before I get into this, if you guys enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I'm really trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. And without further ado, let's jump into this list. So the first book I want to talk about, I'm pretty sure I mentioned in my video back in January, but I didn't have a lot of information on it yet, just because it had just been announced. I don't think there was the premise released yet. But this is going to be Lagunas Point by Tim Meyer. Tim Meyer wrote Malignant Summer, which is one of my favorite coming-of-age stories ever. He also did Paradise Club, The Switch House. He's very into like kind of whimsical cosmic horror. He did The Sea, the Stars, which is a novella that I read last year and really enjoyed. So I love Tim Meyer's work. I'm actually planning on doing a buddy read with my friend Blackacre Doe on this book. But Lagunas Point will be out on August 2nd, 2023. And I'm going to read the premise from Goodreads. All of these premises are going to come off of what is posted on Goodreads, just so you guys know. So it says, 3 years ago, Ellie Brower's daughter went missing somewhere in the heart of Virginia. Today, Ellie receives a mysterious text message that leads her to believe her daughter might still be alive. She follows this rabbit hole to the coastal town of Lagunas Point. But there's something wrong with this place. The town's only constable is zero help and downright hostile. There's a beloved mayor who presides over town affairs, but no one has ever seen his face. Meanwhile, an enormous clock tower holds something sinister behind its cyclopean eye of time. As Ellie unravels the mystery of her missing daughter, the town begins to change. Its geography, its spirit. Slowly, this homely paradise transforms into a nightmarish dream world, and not just the town, the people themselves are slowly evolving into something else. Tim Meyer is honestly probably the only author who writes cosmic horror that I genuinely buy all of his horror books. He also writes westerns. I don't read those because westerns aren't my thing, but I do tend to actually like his type of cosmic horror. It doesn't give me that weird existential dread and like comes out of nowhere as like a convenient explanation at the very end of the story that a lot of cosmic horror does. So I actually really do enjoy Tim Meyer's cosmic styles. No, I know that's not for everybody, but I'm very excited to read it. And he also has another book coming out a month later, and it's called Rainbow Filth, and that will be released on September 5th of 2023, and the premise for that is much shorter. Right now it just says, Rainbow Filth is a weirdo horror novella about a small cult that believes a rare psychedelic substance can physically transport them to another universe. So definitely going to be on the cosmic side of things, though I swear, if this is another horror story about mushrooms, I'm just gonna lose it. Mushroom horror, I think, is my most hated horror. There have been way too many books released within the last 2-3 years that's like big twist is like mushroom horror, and I can't. One time, sure, but so many authors are doing it recently, and it's just driving me crazy. So hopefully this isn't about mushroom horror, but it is a novella. It is Tim Meyer. I will absolutely be reading it. Alright, so next up is Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. Rachel Harrison wrote Cackle and Such Sharp Teeth. And she is an author who I don't necessarily think I agree with her personal beliefs in feminism. And I don't necessarily ever like her characters, but I can't not read her books because I think they are so fun. They are so millennial. Like, they are just written with like colloquialisms that are so geared towards the millennial experience and the millennial expression that I can't get over them, and I always have to read her stuff. So Black Sheep will be released on September 12th of 2023. I know I hinted at this book, I believe, in my video back in January. I've definitely talked about it before, but it wasn't included on that list, so I'm going to read the synopsis for you here. A cynical 20-something must confront her unconventional family's dark secrets in this fiery, irreverent horror novel from the author of such sharp teeth and cackle. Nobody has a normal family, but Vesper Wright is truly something else. Vesper left home at 18 and never looked back, mostly because she was told that leaving the staunchly religious community she grew up in meant she couldn't return. But then an envelope arrives at her doorstep. Inside is an invitation to the wedding of Vesper's beloved cousin Rosie. It's to be hosted at the family farm. Have they made an exception to the rule? It wouldn't be the first time Vesper's been given special treatment. Is the invite a sweet gesture, an olive branch, a trap? Doesn't matter. Something inside her insists she go to the wedding, even if it means returning to the toxic environment she escaped, even if it means reuniting with her mother, Constance, a former horror film star and forever ice queen. When Vesper's homecoming exhumes a terrifying secret, she's forced to reckon with her family's belief and her own crisis of faith in this deliciously sinister novel that explores the way family ties can bind us as we struggle to find our place in the world. I'll be reading that. I will absolutely be reading that. I have such a love-hate relationship with Rachel Harrison because even though I tend to not love the messages in her books, I don't like a lot of her characters, I don't like the endings to many of her novels, I love reading her writing. And that's a really weird experience to have with an author, and it's very hard for me to think of any other author that I have that experience with. But I will absolutely be reading that book. Okay, so next up, I'm putting this on this list because I'm not actually sure what the correct release date is. I've seen several different dates. Right now it is listed for October 15th of 2024, but I have seen previously that it's going to be released in October of 2023, so I don't know if this is a typo or not, but I want to put this on here as well because I've also mentioned it in previous videos. And this is The Wedding Wish by Erin Sterling. If you have not been on my channel before or haven't really heard me talk about Erin Sterling and you're like, why is a book called The Wedding Wish on a horror channel? That's because it is book 3 of the X-Hex series. So the X-Hex, the Kiss Curse, and now The Wedding Wish. Fantastic series. It's one of the few series that I am so invested in. I love the characters, I love the settings, I love the town. They're funny, they're humorous, they're dark, they're whimsical. They're like reading Halloween Town for adults. So they're still spooky, super witchy, almost like the 90s, early 2000s Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Love these books. So let us read. They're also rom-coms, so do with that what you will. So it says, Bowen Penhallow has always been a loner, studying dark and ancient magic on a mountaintop in Wales. He prefers it that way, but when his friend Colin, who happens to be a ghost, asks him to attend a Yuletide wedding at a grand estate deep in the Welsh countryside, Bowen reluctantly agrees. Tamsin Bly is not a witch, but she makes her living off of them. As a procurer and seller of magical items, Tamsin's business is not always above board, but she's been trying to fix that, mostly. Bowen is an occasional customer, as well as the star of several of Tamsin's dirtiest dreams. But she's been around enough witches to know that, as a human, getting involved with one is not the smartest idea. She's finagled an invite to the witchy wedding of the century in the hopes of finally making a score big enough to retire. Just one priceless magical artifact from the Tywell house would set her up for life. But Tamsin isn't the only one sneaking about in Tywell House, and a mix of a very strong spell combined with a wedding mishap transports Bowen and Tamsin into Tywell's house past, to the Yuletide celebration of 1958. As Bowen and Tamsin work together to get back to the present, they must also face off with the origins of Tywell House's haunting, the suspicions of their fellow witches, and the fact that somewhere between the mistletoe and the bonfire, they might be falling in love. So this is actually funny because the last 2 books focused on the Penhallow family, as well as our main character's family. Like the Penhallows are kind of like the side characters that have been pulled in. So I think it's interesting that this book is going to focus entirely on the Penhallows, especially the least frequently used brother. And I also like that this is going to be kind of a like dark Christmassy, like Yule style book instead of like traditional Halloween. The last 2 have been very Halloween oriented. So really interested to see where they take this with more of like the witchy kind of Wiccan pagan pieces versus just like the Samhain kind of Halloween side. So very excited for that. Though it might not be everybody's cup of tea, I really love this series. And I love that it always focuses on different characters. So like honestly, you could probably pick up the books out of order and be fine and figure out exactly what's going on. Alright, so next up, this is Becoming the Boogeyman by Richard Shizmar, which is obviously a sequel to Chasing the Boogeyman. And this will be out on October 10th on 2023. And oddly, it's being released by Gallery Books. I wonder if that's a typo, because Richard Shizmar owns Cemetery Dance, so I don't know what's up with that. Well, let me just read the plot for you. It says, a riveting, haunting sequel to the New York Times best-selling thriller Chasing the Boogeyman. A tale of obsession and the adulation of evil, exploring modern society's true crime obsession with unflinching honesty, sparing no one from the glare of the spotlight. Will those involved walk away from the story of a lifetime in order to keep their loved ones safe, or will they once again be drawn into a killer's web? As the story draws to its shattering conclusion, only one person holds all the answers, and he may just be the most terrifying monster of them all. So I'm unsure if this is going to be like a direct sequel to Chasing the Boogeyman, or if it's going to be kind of like in that same realm, but like adjacent. Because I kind of felt like that storyline got like very, very wrapped up at the end. Chasing the Boogeyman blew my mind. I went into it completely blind, and I adored every second of it. I read it so fast. So I am very excited for this one. And I do like how Richard Shizmar kind of rates himself as the main character, like everything is through his perspective, but as like a teenager. So very, very excited for that one. Okay, and then also on October 10th of 2023, we get a full-length novel from Laurel Hightower called Silent Key. Now, for those of you who've been on my channel, you know I love Mothman, and you know that I read a Mothman book last year, and that was Below by Laurel Hightower. Really had fun with that book. Would love to see a full novel from her, because Below was a novella, but it was great, and it made me want to read more from this author, and here we have it. So, the premise on this is a detective supernatural mystery with the elements of Nick Cutter's The Deep, Peter Benchley's Jaws, and Stephen King's Firestarter. Alright. After the loss of her husband under mysterious circumstances, former detective Cam Ambrose learns how little she truly knew him. Reeling with the grief of her loss and the realization that the man she loved was a stranger, she must learn how to keep her young daughter safe from a world of the supernatural she never knew existed. With the help of her best friend, Dimmy, and reclusive neighbor, Eric Morgan, she sets out to solve a decades-old mystery, entangling the machinations of an obsessed killer, her husband's mistress, and a series of deadly hauntings. Ooh, she was able to pack so much like cool supernatural stuff in Below that I'm really excited to see what she can do with like a full, I think it's at 305 pages? Yeah, 305 pages. So definitely on the lookout for that. Ooh, okay. So there's not an official date for this next one yet. It just says October of 2023. Online, I believe he said it'll be coming around like Halloween. But the next book is That Night in the Woods by Christopher Triana. I love Christopher Triana. I just read The Prettiest Girl in the Grave, which came out in May. So if you are interested, check out that video. And then of course I read Gone See the Riverman last year. Just one of my favorite books of all time now, even though it is so deeply and darkly disturbing. It's fantastic. And of course I've read A Cold Place for Dying by him before, so I'm so excited to see this, and I think it's going to be kind of Halloween-y too. So, but let's dive into the plot. When Jennifer receives a message from Scott Dwyer after 20 years without contact, her first reaction is one of excitement. Scott was her first love, and now that she's in her 40s and in the middle of a divorce, nostalgia for her youth gets the better of her. Scott invites Jennifer to his house in Redford, the very same town she grew up in. It's a place she's made great effort to put behind her, for not all her childhood memories are sunny. When she accepts Scott's invite and returns to her old hometown, she struggles with mixed feelings, especially when she learns of the death of Stephen Winters, one of her and Scott's childhood friends. Scott invites 3 other people from their past to honor Steve's memory, Corey, Tracy, and Mark. But the group is more than old friends. They share a dark secret that has troubled them for decades. Now it's time to face their traumatic past. Together they must unravel a mystery of what happened that night in the patch of forest behind Scott's house, a place known as Suicide Woods. From the author of Gone to See the Riverman comes a chilling novel that reminds us old ghosts are the ones that haunt us the most. Woo! Okay, so not Halloween-y. But we'll be out around spooky season. Oh, I'm excited. I need to read Full Brutal. So many people have told me to read that. But I am so excited to read more from Triana. I really, really do love and enjoy his work. I think he's such an innovative and unique author, so excited for that. Okay, and then I have like 1.5 more, because I just found out that Darcy Coates, in classic Darcy Coates fashion, will be releasing 3 books this year. She did the, The Twisted Dead, came out earlier. She's got, I think it's called Dead of Winter, coming out this month. I actually think it came out today, but it might be next week, I'm not sure. And then on November 7th, 2023, And this one says this is by Sourcefire Books, which is interesting because most of her books are usually released through Poison Pen Press. So I don't know what that's about. But we're going to get 416 pages of a novel called Where He Can't Find You. So it says, from USA Today best-selling horror thriller author Darcy Coates comes the chilling legend of a monster no one can escape. Don't walk alone or the Stitcher will find you. Abby Ward lives in a town haunted by disappearances. People vanish, and when they're found, their bodies have been dismembered and sewn back together in unnatural ways. Ooh, we're gonna get more body horror from Darcy Coates. She's been so good at that recently. But is it the work of a human killer or something far darker? Don't stay out late or the Stitcher will take you. She and her younger sister live by a strict set of rules designed to keep them safe, which is why it's such a shock when Hope is taken. Desperate to get her back, Abby tells the police everything she knows, but they claim their hands are tied. Don't close your eyes or the Stitcher will remake you. With every hour precious, Abby and her friends are caught in a desperate game of cat and mouse. They have to get Hope back, quickly, before too much of her is cut away, and before everything they care about is swallowed up by the darkness waiting in the tunnels beneath the home they thought they knew. I am so excited for that. That's actually the first time I've read the premise for this. I just saw that Darcy Coates was releasing another book, and I had to put it on this list, which I am just thrilled about. And this sounds like it's going to be even more disturbing than some of her other stuff. I know From Below really reached to be definitely creepier than a lot of the stuff she's written in the past. Really saw some of those moments from The Haunting of Ashburn House, which I find absolutely fantastic. It's definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Darcy Coates book. But I like how she's been still cozy, but really leaning into more visually disturbing body horror, and I think that we're totally gonna get this with that. Oh, that sounds so creepy. I'm so excited. And I did say that I had 1.5 books left. The half book is just to announce that The Hollowdead, book 4 of the Gravekeeper series by Darcy Coates, will be released right now on February 13th of 2024. Not gonna put that description in there yet because this is technically for 2023. But that'll be in my video for most anticipated reads come January because I do love that series, and I only think there are 2 more books left. I think there's going to be 5 total. I think it was originally going to be 3, but now it's 5. So much fun. I love Darcy Coates. We all know I love Darcy Coates. All right, anyways, that is it. So I am so excited. I don't know if you heard when I was filming this, but I definitely had a package delivered while I was filming this, and I think it might be the new Riley Sager book, so fingers crossed. But yes, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. I try to post every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.